This is the second lecture for this week, and this is on working with the community. So not working for the community, but working with them to have partnerships, to support your community as a whole, to offer services and programs that meets not only the needs of your particular population, but the community around you. We're going to go over what is multidisciplinary services, how do we support vulnerable and at-risk populations, and ways that you might want to develop an action plan in order to support families or engage in community service type programs. This might not be a concern of all programs, but if it is, please watch this PowerPoint and I will talk about how you can kind of be multidisciplinary. And this is definitely for programs that have like a nonprofit aspect or are really wanting to be part of their community, or maybe their mission statement is to support vulnerable at-risk children and families. So I think we definitely form close partnerships with our families. That's something that we always learn in our child development classes. But we also want to do that between educational systems, public schools, private schools, charter schools, community colleges, universities, and also the community as a whole, businesses around us, small businesses, nonprofits, social services, child protective services, child welfare services, everything in order to support families, support children, their education. In these slides, I'm talking about an action plan that was based on Dr. Epstein's work, and she works at Johns Hopkins. And her work is on creating community partnerships. And so I used some of her work to help me plan integrating community and social services programs into my work. So if you want to know more about creating community partnerships, Dr. Epstein's work at Johns Hopkins is a great place to start. So why should we create public partnerships within our communities to support our families? So last week we looked a lot at doing parent education, and that's a new stipulation with some of our programs. But in some of our programs, we serve really at risk, we serve vulnerable, we serve, families that might be really struggling. How do we support them with targeted multidisciplinary support from a lot of social services agencies, a lot of educational services and agencies, and then community groups as well? How do we surround and wrap around these services to support these families and children? So according to Dr. Epstein, Dr. Joyce Epstein, once again at Johns Hopkins, this was kind of her action team for partnerships. In her action team for partnerships, she provides a great structure and procedures for participation of parents, families, and community members. So everybody has a role and a responsibility in how they support families. It's also based on really specific goals and vision for your program in order to increase parental and family involvement. Because we know that's a key part of partnerships, and it's a key part of helping and supporting families take care of their children and do it well, is by having really specific goals, SMART goals, if you will. They're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable. Her program itself and the action plan that I have online on Canvas is based on an elementary school program where academics is the focus, and there's a school site council. Schools that typically receive a lot of federal funding are called Title I, and they have a school site council as part of getting that extra money, and that's where a lot of the parent participation comes in, as they help out with the vision that they'd like to see from their program. So Dr. Epstein's work is kind of based on this principle, but I think that any individual program, if you're early childhood education or after school programs or even FCC, could take this kind of information about goals and achieving them and use them for their own work. So she has 6 types of involvement within programs: parenting, communicating, volunteering, learning at home, decision-making, and collaborating with the community. So what do you want to focus on? You probably can't do all 6, but what is an important part of your program? Is it communicating well with your parents? Is it increasing volunteering in the classroom, or is it having your staff volunteer out in the community? Is it giving parents ways that they can learn and support learning at home? So taking home make and takes or parent education. Is it about encouraging parenting and giving tips on becoming parents? Is it involving parents in the decision-making of the program? So part of advocacy and reform in your community, so lobbying at the state level about licensing requirements or being part of boards, and then also collaborating with your community. So how are you going to take social services, early intervention, educational system, and use them to support the families? A great program would probably have aspects of all 6, but you probably can't do all 6 really well all of the time. Or you'd have 6 different directors that each took on something like this, because in a typical program, you might just want to focus on 1 or 2 of these and be really, really great and stand out at them. So I have a 1-year action plan. It's up on Canvas. It's an additional resource. You're not reading anything this week, but it is an additional resource. If this is an area of passion for you, or an area that you just want to learn more about, or something that you've been trying to work on in your own program, please check out this action plan that I have up on Canvas. It's a great way to brainstorm first steps. Typically funding, you need to have a certain amount of cash or seed money in order to start new programs, or it'll help you start writing letters and grant letters in social services as well. Second steps, using it in meetings with classrooms and management teams or to obtain support from staff and then from parent groups as well. And then specific guidelines for scheduling, for implementation, for what you want parents to do, for what you want families to do, for what you want staff to do. So take a look at the action plan if you're more interested. I like it for brainstorming, for letting me know and delegating and managing all of the people that are going to support me. You typically can't do this all by yourself. The parents, the staff are going to support you, and they'll have roles and responsibilities. And this action plan is a great way for you to try to manage that and decide who's going to do what. So this is a part of the plan. So identify an activity, what are the dates that it's going to be due. She does what's called a grade level, but I typically would use classroom level or whole program. What needs to be done to support the activity, and then the parts of delegating, who's in charge and what. So my example of this and her parts of the plan, this is my example. So I want to have incredible years parent training. That's what I want to do in my program. So I'm going to set up that we're going to do it for 12 weeks every Wednesday from 6 to 7:30 after people have gotten off work. It's going to be for my 3 preschool classrooms. I'll have enough space and time and childcare so that every family, if they wanted to, could participate, although I will have them sign up in advance so I know how many childcare providers I need and how much food as well. So I'm going to contact family counseling for the training. So I'm going to ask this group and I'm going to give them money and they're going to provide the training for me. And in this case, I already got the Elks Club or Interact Club or something in the community to provide the money to pay them from a donation. I'm going to have the assistant director schedule our staff to provide childcare on a rotating volunteer basis. So I'm probably going to give like comp time or some kind of incentive to have them come and do volunteering for 12 weeks, but it'll be rotating. So not the same person is going to do it every 12 weeks, but maybe I'll give them 3 hours of like comp time so they could leave 3 hours early someday that they prearranged with me if they were volunteering. I'm also going to ask the parent group. So I have a parent involvement group and I'm going to ask them to provide dinner for 12 weeks. People have just gotten off work at 6. If they have childcare and they have Costco pizza and salads and cheesecake, they typically will stay around for trainings if they have their need to eat and their need for childcare taken care of. I might also write a letter to a local restaurant or Starbucks or a corporate donation to provide maybe a last night's meal, like a really fancy meal of like spaghetti and lasagna and like a nice cake to say congratulations. And then typically we'll hand make nice certificates and give it to the parents as well, especially if they were there for 12 weeks. That's 3 months out of their life that they gave us an hour and a half to devote to being better parents and learning about social and emotional development for their preschool age child. I want to value the time that they did that. As a working mom myself, that's a huge time commitment. Whenever I go to PTO or district meetings or school board meetings, it's a big, typically when I get home, I want to relax. The fact that the parents did that, we need to provide childcare, we need to do this. So that was my idea, but I used this plan. So this is how the assistant director is going to help me. This is how the Elks Club is going to give me money. Who's going to write the letter? Who's going to ask the parent group to do this? What am I going to give staff for volunteering by babysitting? Something like that. So this is a good way, and that's why I like Dr. Epstein's work, is it gives you a template and a way that you can organize it, and also focuses on delegating. You can't do all of this yourself. All right, so networking. a lot of this that I'm talking about, you can't do if you don't know people in your community. If you don't know where to ask for money, or you don't know where to get somebody to provide education for you, that can be a struggle. And I know a lot of people starting out in this field might not have a network yet. I have a quite extensive network. I know lots of therapists, social service education. I work at 3 different colleges. I know lots of people there because I've been doing this for 20 years. But I built my network by saying yes. And that's probably the point of this, is like, I just said yes to things. I didn't always do them forever and ever. For example, somebody asked me to be part of an anti-gang drug task force in Escondido. And I was like, what? Why would I? But I was like, yeah, sure. It's 2 hours a month. I got 2 hours a month. I'll go to it. It was so good. I learned so much about the different gangs. I got to know police officers. I got to know social workers that were out in the streets. I got to know school teachers. I got to know anti-gang community members. I built a network of people in Escondido who were all really passionate about ending gang violence in that neighborhood, in those communities. It was great. I think I did it for a year. So it was like 20 hours of my life, when I have thousands of hours in a year, in order to do that. So please say yes to things, join professional organizations, go to our child development majors groups and activities that we have within our department, take more classes, meet people that you are in the classes, attend workshops and conferences. It's the best way that you can grow your network. I think when you go out and you meet people, anybody, look at agencies, teachers, practitioners, community groups. Be polite, be respectful, and listen to, at first, what do they do? Like, and I would always, what can they offer me? Like, what could I take away? Like, what does this person do that I might need later on? Oh, you provide low cost, sliding scale, community-based therapy for families. Fantastic. I know so many people who need that. And then they're like, yay, somebody who's going to send me clients. Collect business cards as well. I would attach it to a sheet. So I would have like just a spiral bound like this. And in it, I had stapled business cards, and then I had a little bit more information. Like, I might print out from their website, or I might write, this is Monica, and Monica provides low cost sliding scale therapy for family and children, specifically about ADHD, anxiety, and depression. Then when I needed somebody, then I had this book always on my desk, and I would flip it open. Alphabetized might have happened, might be really happy, might be a better way to do it, but at least I had it all in one spot. I would then, sometimes I would have open houses. I would invite them to see my program, or, hey, you're like, a mile, 2 miles away from where I work. Let's meet up for lunch one day. Meet me at my center. I'll give you a quick tour, and then we'll go get burritos. Something like that. If I had the extra cash, I would treat them as well. It was my own money. I wasn't coming from my organization, but I would say, hey, lunch is on me. Let's meet at my center, and I will give you a tour. I would highlight my strengths, the role in my community. They're sending me clients. I'm sending them clients. We've got this whole networking situation going on. And then once again, if you're invited, go. If there's a meeting, if there's a network, if there's brunch, if there's dinner and drinks, if there's a cocktail party after a conference, if there's a conference, go. There's typically professional development money all over the place, especially in our field. You won't ever build a network, and you can't support families without a network. You have to say yes and go to these. So in conclusion, systems that are educational, that involve a wide variety of agencies, will support families. It can be difficult to start, so you need to have a professional network, and you need to go out and meet people in order to have a professional network, and then you need to develop a plan for implementation. Something like a plan of action, and you don't have to use Dr. Epstein's work. You can use whatever is best for you, but just consider how you can take this information and you can use it to develop a plan for implementation. It's something that I am passionate about, how we can support students in wraparound services. So if any of you have specific situations, or if you just want to chat about it, feel free to shoot me an email, and we can set up a time and we can talk about how we can support some of our families and children who might be struggling. All right, that's it for this week's lectures. I will see you online. Have a great week.